everybody, and welcome to the Living Life Show. This is Marcos Ojeda, and we have got a great show for you tonight. We have a very special guest joining us tonight. He is one of the greatest acting talents of our generation. He has acted in some of the most popular movies and TV series of our time. He has also acted in the many TV shows that he has hosted in television and also in some radio shows, as well as some documentaries. Not only that, but he is a successful entrepreneur that has been managing an agricultural business for more than 10 years. He has also been a top executive in the airline industry. And most important, he is a friend of this show. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the Living Life Show, Ángel Hidalgo.
Hello, everybody. Good night, everybody. Well, Marcos, I'm really overwhelmed about this introduction that you have done about me, my presentation, and well, I have to tell everybody listening to this show that he's not objective at all. I mean, in this presentation, there's a lot of personal affect and involved. So I'm just a comedian. I'm one more of the Spanish comedians. But anyway, thank you very much for this great show that you made about me here. I'm really pleased to be with you, Marcos, after such a long time. And well, here I am to tell you what to tell you. You can ask whatever you want. I can answer whatever I want. But I'll try to do my best to make you enjoy these 10 minutes. Here I am. I'm all yours.
Thank you very much, Ángel. The pleasure is all ours. Well, the first question is about the very strange times that we are living. I mean, we have been in lockdown or some sort of lockdown for more than 8 or 10 weeks. You live in Spain, which is one of the countries hardest hit by the coronavirus. Actually, in Spain, you live in Madrid and Valencia, which within Spain have been hardest hit by this crisis. So, how are you adapting to the lockdown? How are you?
Well, as a matter of fact, this in Spain, sadly, has been one of the most hit countries of this terrible pandemic. I'm really lucky because I had the opportunity to leave Madrid, which has been one of the hardest. We had one of the hardest times 6 days before the lockdown. So we had, as you said, a farm in Valencia. Cottage in the open field, open country, and we could escape, because this is the real word to be used. We escaped from the city, and we have been locked down in the countryside. Fortunately, we could walk. We have our, the fields, but really, it's hard to look back and then see how people is suffering, how people has been suffering, and not only during the pandemic, during the crisis, the sanitary crisis, but also what is coming over now, because there's so many people that have lost their jobs, many people that has no money. It's as hard as it is, no money to go to the groceries. I mean, but fortunately, the solidarity in Spain has been huge, and people has been next to the weeks. People has offered the best they had, and we hope we will overcome this. I mean, it's really hard. It's really hard. We haven't suffered because being away from Madrid, we are like 470 kilometers away on the east coast of Spain. Weather is pleasant, but I really, I don't know if you heard about this feeling of guilt that many people suffer when they are others next to them that suffer an attempt, the terrorist attack or whatever. Sometimes I have this kind of feeling, why I have the privilege of being here when friends of mine are suffering, and it's something that you really cannot handle. And well, we hope that we will also have some losses, people next to us that had passed away because of this crisis, well, it's really hard because it touched me very deeply, and we hope we will overcome all this dramatic situation in very short time.
No, it's true. It's one of the most trying times that we have ever lived, and we hope that we will overcome it. Now, going back to you and to your career, you are one of the most talented actors of our time. But what many do not know is that before developing a career in acting, you were a very successful executive in the airline industry. So what made you make that change, that shift in career from, you know, a conventional career in the industry, and in this case in the airline industry, to something that was completely different, like acting?
I think everything in life except the true love is an acting. But yeah, well, it was a strange thing. I mean, I was working at the time for VASP, Vasco's Brazilian company. Initially, I was working as a commercial manager for Spain for Kuwait Airways. Before this, I was engaged by Korean Airlines, and I wasn't really looking for that. But well, what happened is that I started to study language is very young, of 10, 12 years. I was bilingual in French already, and then I had a very close friend of mine that he was an actor's agent. And then it was, at the time, there was a very successful TV series in Spain for young people. It was called Al Salir de Clase, so like could be translated as going out of the school. And it was a teenagers, very successful series. So at that certain point, they need an actor with very good French, because the creator and the director of the TV series, who was Belgian, he was a Belgian guy, and he wanted someone with a perfect French. And then this guy called me and said, Ángel, could you please make me a favor? I need this. I tell him, are you kidding? I cannot go to a TV series, such a kind of series like this. And then in 2 months, going to the ministry to negotiate the fight for airline freedoms or whatever, or the commercial. I cannot go there. I swear you, they will make you up. Nobody will recognize you. So just in order to make this favor to my friend, I accepted it. I played a very snobbish and very wasn't the kind guy, but it was a French maître d' on the series. It was just one chapter. Then after this, when we finished shooting, the director came to me and told me, "Oh, you know, he didn't know about me anything." And I said, "Do you have any compromise this summer?" I told you, "Well, yes, I have to compromise. My compromise is why? I said, because there is a new part in the TV series. I really would love you to do it. Not to listen. Well, my situation is this. I think nobody told you about it, but the real situation is this. Okay." And then told me, "Well, just think about it. And if there is any possibility, if there is any chance for you to do it, I really would love you to do it." I dropped this out on the drawer, and then like 3 months later, we received the advice from the head office that the company will shut down in Spain and an international basis. So at that time, just started to consider it, and then I think, well, I'm gonna give me a try. And then I accepted it. I told him, "Listen, Pascal, I'm for it. Let's go and see what happens." And then from that moment was a series after the other, one work after the other, and it's been lasting for the last 20 years. And here I am, one more comedian.
No, you're very humble. Not one more comedian, but one of the best comedians. Now, so you've been doing that for more than 2 decades. We know that this crisis, and you mentioned it before, is going to have a hard impact in the jobs of many. One of these industries that may be impacted in a very harsh way is going to be the show business industry. I mean, it is going to be hard to socially distance yourself from your acting partner, and it's going to be hard to gather an audience to a theater if they are afraid of being surrounded with other people. So on that act, how do you see the show business industry evolving? Is there any silver lining that we can take out of this crisis?
Well, it's really hard, because more than this, you know, the law, as far as it's concerned in Spain, the law does not protect at all the actors and actresses, singers. Well, last night we had, because in here in Valencia, the province where we are in the phase 1. We have yesterday here at home a couple of singers, lyric singers, opera singers, well recognized. I'm going to open the names, and she had a concert. She had a Traviata at the Royal Theatre in Madrid, and he had or Zarzuela with Plácido Domingo at the Teatro de la Zarzuela. Everything has been cancelled. What happened is, since they are not, they don't have a contract so far with the theater. They just have the compromise, the appointment, but they have cancelled the other compromises they could have signed. So since this has been cancelled, they will not touch a single coin. So they are just stranded, no work, no compensation for the cancellations, as they are not self-employees. The government is not assisting them as the other self-employees. So there is kind of blackout around all this. Is very difficult. This for one side. So actors, actresses, singers are really suffering crisis. On the other side, about the running of the job, I really don't know how it's going to be managed, because this friend of mine, the singer, she told me yesterday, probably we will do this Traviata, but will not be a mise en scène. Would be just like a concert. The orchestra would be on stage, because if they are down, they are more concentrated with the risk for the infection is much higher. So the orchestra, you can imagine the orchestra on stage, moreover than the singers. So it's going to be a mess, because forget about mise en scène and performances. Everything will be a concert. As far as theater is concerned, I really don't know how they can manage. It's going to be very difficult. Well, TV and cinema could be easier to handle, because you can fake the shots from one side to the other, and you have the effects, and you can. But theater is true, is a living true. You can do nothing there. So I really don't know. All the shit has been stopped now. Nobody's shooting. Production are stopped, and we really don't know how it's going to be managed. But of course, it is affecting very, very deeply this sector.
Well, it's hard to hear. Let's hope that actually they can find a solution to this crisis, and also to the show business.
But now, it's going to be. But this is going to be lasting for a long, long time. I mean, but people have to be conscious that what happens. People, since the virus cannot be seen, people think that it's past. No, virus is here, and virus is whatever. You cannot imagine who is infecting from who you can be infected, because many people are asymptomatics, and it's really serious. And people is not very, very concerned that this is very difficult and it's going to be last for a long time.
No, exactly. I mean, we are at the beginning of this pandemic. Now, going back to you, you're a person of many different talents and a very active citizen. And actually, a decade ago, you started a business together with some very good people in the agricultural industry. Actually, the name of this business is Las Naranjas del Molí, which would translate something like the oranges of the mill. That's a very successful story. I mean, it's not easy to actually start a business, and it's much more difficult to keep it running for such a long time in a successful manner. So in that sense, is there anything that you would like to share with our audience on what made you take that step?
Well, necessity. I'll tell you why. Well, as you said, the Las Naranjas del Molí means the origins from the mill. Yes, our cottage is an ancient wheat water mill from the end of 18th century, beginning of the 19th century. And well, I think it's easy to resume, because there is a video that the United Nations called me last week, because someone in there knew our story, and they wanted me to tell it. And they have United Nations as a kind of storytelling, and they are very concerned about resilience in these hard times. What happened to us? This nice and kind person that you are mentioning is my husband, my partner in life, my partner in this long travel. And he's an economist. He was a manager of a company, from which like about 35, 37 families live. And the crisis, the 2008 crisis, blew up the company. Of course, my field, my sector in that time was also very, very weak. I mean, it was very very beaten. And at a certain moment, we had nothing, absolutely nothing. We had bought this house, this cottage, as a second sort of vacational place. And there is a huge grove of oranges. And then we decided to do something because we had no income at that time. So we decided to take the best from the worst. And we started to sell oranges, fresh cut oranges, to our friends. We started with a very small website, one of those free, you know, very, very simple, very easy. And this is our 10th year, our 9th year selling oranges. It has been really, actually was a help to us because we live out of that. But now it's has been a little success. And during these hard times of crisis, we could have stopped at the operation, but we didn't want, because those people who helped us for 8 years, you know, to survive. I mean, we didn't want to let them stranded, and on the hard times they could not go to the groceries. The people were afraid of it, and we kept serving people. We kept delivering our oranges to the house. I think this is not. I mean, it was a kind of, it's a story of resilience more than other thing. There's not one. But you said I'm an entrepreneur. Well, necessity pushed us to us, but. What we wanted with this story, it has been told in the United Nations website, is just to push whoever that could be in our situation, not to be afraid of giving the step forward and doing it. This is a very simple story, but that we wanted to show to the people that in these moments are probably suffering. As a easy, very easy.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, and actually, you have succeeded in many different careers, roles, entrepreneurs, as you just mentioned. You just collaborated with the United Nations to show how valuable resilience is, especially in times of crisis. Now, as we were mentioning, we are living in one of the most trying times that the world has ever lived. Is there anything that you would like to share with our audience, especially with those that may be suffering and that may be concerned about what the future may bring? Because you are an inspiration for many.
Inspiration, that is very serious. It's a big responsibility to be the inspiration for someone. But I should be wearing a T-shirt that I have in which it's written, "Don't step back unless you want to go that way." That's my recommendation, and this is my. Listen, I finished the video that we recorded for the United Nations. I finished the video saying that I learned something in life which can be resumed in 3 words. Sigue hacia adelante. Keep going ahead. That's it. That's it. Light is always waiting for you.
It has been a true honor having you with us in the show tonight. I mean, for those of you who don't know, Ángel and I have known each other for many, many years. So many that we are going to keep that a secret. But Ángel, the truth is that you are a wonderful friend on whom I have relied many, many times. And well, more than that, you are family. So thank you very much, Ángel, for joining us tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Ángel Hidalgo.
Thank you very much, Marcos. Well, as a matter of fact, for me, it's more than a honor. It's a real pleasure to talk to you. It was a long time not seeing you for the last time. And you know I love you. You know, as you said, I know you since you were a kid. I wasn't the kid at that time, but you were. Hope this will last forever. Please take care. All the audience, hard times. Take care, please, everybody. Stay safe. Big hug for all of you.